welcome back. So like said, we were going to talk to you more about what does the physical body do. And the book that we're using is Messages from the Body, their psychological meaning. And it is by Michael J. Lincoln, PhD.
Right, so we were kind of going through my journey of paying attention to what my body was saying during the process prior to leaving the marriage.
So here you were working at a job for 8 months that you completely hated, but you had to do because it was a devotion and a compromise, and you suppressed yourself, denigrated yourself. But it's like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be. Now, here's an interesting thing. I kept seeing the energy about how it looks like the conflict within was creating cancer. Now, you didn't get diagnosed, but I said you're going to have the courage to take and do this path switch. It's very important for you to understand that you need to do this.
Which I did.
But here's the uterine cancer meaning is martyr trip. She feels victimized by the universe and by God, who is male in her experience. She has a great deal of tripod rage.
Surprise,
there's that again. The irresistible urge to kick anyone with 3 legs. She is plagued with a huge amount of repressed rage, and she is prone to severe, passive-aggressive, and subtle, subterranean, subconscious sabotage. Say that 3 times. They're constantly irritated and enraged by others, particularly males, and especially by her male intimate. They are the product of repressed, rageful, patriotic, hating mother. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Usually with a highly inflexible, enraging father.
Which I didn't have because I had the patriarchal, hating mother. I did not have an enraged father because she also, I would say, has tripod rage.
Yes. And, well, what I will know is that sometimes these meanings aren't as they are. They're at different levels. And so I have watched how when I read this, it didn't apply to the person, but I said, was it the mother before that? You know, the generation before that, or is it part of the group conscious that you have to fight against?
Right, and that would be part of it. Is that that was her?
Yes, and so you had this tripod rage, and because he was telling you that you had to do this, it became
and
a
follow
have to.
These rules in order to be in this relationship. This is what it has to be, and you must follow it if you are going to be part of the situation.
And what would happen if you didn't obey?
Oh, he would just,
if you didn't denigrate yourself, he would.
Correct. I mean, just the words that came out of his mouth and the anger and the tone in which
it probably would have been okay if you didn't have to go home and turn around and have to do the cleaning and the cooking as well.
Right. If he was participating in the household in that way, then yeah. It would have made a huge difference.
It would have. But at the same time, you were still playing out that archetype of what it meant for a married couple and how men are supposed to treat women and women are supposed to be treated.
And what he expected and how he was raised and all that kind of stuff.
So during the time when baby making stage that you were supposed to get married and are supposed to have babies.
So this was about, from that other point, that was about two and a half years after that initial procedure, and then about a year and a half or so after you saw that there was the potential for cancer, then there was a tubal pregnancy.
Yes, and you were so excited when you got pregnant, and then it just didn't feel right. And then finally you were diagnosed that you had tubal pregnancy and the consequences that what would happen if it wasn't aborted. And so the meaning of it, because it represents something. What are you doing here is what the statement is. They're intensely ambivalent or rejecting of being pregnant in these circumstances, and for being pregnant with this child. The result is that the fertilization happened outside the womb. The rare and dangerous occurrence reflects either the massive intent of the soul of the child or the universe to have this pregnancy occur despite, or perhaps even because of, this mother's intense resistance, which in parentheses, for the soul's destiny purpose. Now, there's a part of her that I even brought this up to her probably when I had my building before it burnt down and before you start doing chaplaincy, I think, was you probably are not going to be meant to be having kids. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, but I want to. And I think you were just caught up in the realm that you're married, you're supposed to. It's the next logical
step.
Yeah.
As far as, going to school, getting the degree, getting the job, getting the house, getting the guy, getting the life, and then kids were the next part of the step, and all of that.
But you basically were born not to have children, and if you actually have one, then it'll be something that probably your choice along the journey says, oh, well, by the way, you're going to have one. Like my body said, when I was married the first time, you can't have kids. And I'm like, I really wanted one. At least I thought it was the next logical step. So, okay, fine. And there's that fear also that you're going to break the rules, and then if you accidentally get pregnant out of wedlock, and there's still that thought that, even though I'm told I can't, what if it could, and you're just fearful. So, with my husband I have now, it's like, okay, you know what, I can't have kids, but if we're going to be fooling around, I do not want to have, get pregnant out of wedlock, but there's always these fears that happen. And our intention was that we were going to get married. I just didn't want that to be. And so, needless to say, when you're with your husband, you don't need to use any protection, right? So I never got pregnant with the first husband. And so so when I got married, a month after me and Scott got married, I'm wrapping a baby shower thing for my friend, and I really loved the blankie. And I just really felt prone that, you know what, I'm going to keep this blankie and I'm going to hide it. And I thought, no, I bought it for her and her daughter. This is ridiculous. And then all of a sudden I hear God say, but you're pregnant. And I'm like, what? No, that can't be. So I ran to the store, bought a pregnancy test, come home, it says you're pregnant. Now I have to tell my husband, but then I thought, do I take a second pregnancy test and then go to the doctor? You just have no money. What are you supposed to do? So I did both. And then I had to tell him. So I took that blankie and I wrapped up some baby things, and I said, that's how I told my husband, was that he came home from work or got up in the morning and surprise, he needed to unwrap this present because this is my way of telling him that he's a father. He was so frozen, it was almost a week before he could even make it real that, what did my wife just say? And then it wasn't until after we had the baby that both were at bus that I remember I gave birth. I was looking at it and I was poking at it, not trying to make it cry, but I'm like, is this really real? And I was just like, this can't be. And then I brought it home. Okay, it's still here. It took me a while to comprehend that
it's moved in.
I have a baby, So it's these moments, and see, my body said, oh, you can't have any, but then I ended up having two. The second one was surprise. Now, I'm grateful for both of them. But if I knew that I didn't have to find the logical steps of what a woman is supposed to do, I probably would have opted of not having kids, because I don't think that I could have actually mentally handled it because the vibration is so high. But I knew that I was supposed to have two because it was, oh, you're pregnant. I am what? The second one came as a total surprise when I'm being reamed by this woman that thinks she's part of my family, and she goes, you better not get pregnant. And then I hear God say, oh, but you already are, at least by a month. I'm like, a month? And she's going half-cocked and crazy and yelling and screaming, and I was totally not in the conversation. And I finally just left, and I says, well, so I went and got a pregnancy. I am. No! I didn't like giving birth the first time. No! And I argued. But knowing that, no, you can't really, I wasn't going to do anything. It's in there.
Right. That's the whole thing. If the baby could just levitate out.
Oh, God, that would be awesome.
That would be amazing. That's the whole.
But, I ended up having, So after that, I just said, okay, there is no way in God's green earth I am ever going to be pregnant, especially around 40. No. I got pregnant at 28 and 30. But there was no way. No. And to the point that I created a tumor inside my uterus, destroyed it, and then ripped out my left ovary and blitified that. And then by the time that, okay, I'll just have to go a little bit here. I went to the doctors because I had pulled a muscle and I think I had a hernia. Well, the doctor said, well, I need you to go see a second opinion. And I'm like, you didn't do anything except for poke at my belly. And it didn't hurt. So I went into a feminine doctor, or I should say the gynecologist, and she's looking, and she says, oh, you have a grapefruit size tumor, and we need to get that operated on. Oh, all right. So I was sitting there, and of course, the healer I am, I sat there and goes, I do not. All she was telling me the procedure was is they were going to take out the tumor and that it won't hurt the uterus because the uterus was so big. Then they're going to cauterize it and they'll shrink it down, and then the uterus will be okay. And I'm thinking, oh, there's no freaking way. I could just totally see that I'm going to get pregnant anyway. So I just imagine if there's all these other little tumors, I want all the poison to go into one big tumor, and then I don't have to, keep playing with this. And lo and behold, it was supposed to be an hour and a half surgery. Mm-hmm. My husband was told all the procedures, and by that time they said, oh, well, your wife has to go a little longer. So 4 hours later, they got me in the bed, and I started to wake up, and my first thing my husband says, oh my God, look at this, and he's putting a picture in my face. And I can't see anything.
I just woke up from anesthesia, and thanks for helping.
And so I'm like, wait a minute, comprehend. Am I back in my, am I Brenda? Who am I? Okay, you got to get the name straight. You got to get the body. Yeah, okay, consciousness is here. Okay. And then he's telling me, and I says, wait, you got to start this again. What? He says, well, you're in surgery a little longer than you're supposed to, and oh my God, there was all this fear, blah, blah, blah. But look what they found. I says, what is it? This is your tumor. It looks heart-shaped. It was a 5 pound. Now just imagine a bag of sugar. 5 pounds. Uh-huh. It was huge. That sucker was not small. It was huge. I can't remember the dimensions of it, but it reminds you of a big fat purse somebody would carry. Mm-hmm. Another freaking baby in there. That's what it looked like. And they go, oh my gosh, they took that out, and the lady comes in and found out I was awake, so the doctor comes running, she goes, oh my God, you didn't have a grapefruit, you had another baby growing in there, I swear to God, look at that. And so they're all excited, and and I'm like,
congratulations,
yeah.
You did a good job.
All right, yeah, I made it some medical history today, okay, fine. But then they had to tell me the procedure. They could not do the procedure where they could go up through my vaginal area. Mm-hmm. They had to I gave birth twice. Didn't have to do, I did it natural. No! I woke up and why am I so extra sore? They cut me as if giving a C-section, and they said everything was so dang twisted. My right ovary was on my left side, my left ovary was gone, my uterus was upside down, my intestines were wrapping up, and they're like, you had no physical symptoms? No, I just wanted to take care of this thing I ruined.
Known as my uterus, please take it out.
Yes. So they took everything out of my body, and then they cut out what they didn't need, and then they had to repack everything properly. Right ovary goes on the right side, the intestines go here.
It's like the operation game.
Yes, they were. Oh God, they packed it out, and I'm like, and they still couldn't get over it. My doctor still couldn't. You had no signs. No, I had nothing. I just wanted to get this other little thing worked on, and on that was just a rip one day because I was exercising too hard and it ripped, and so it was just funny about how. But I got the uterus out. That's all I have to say. Oops, did I do that? So anyways, getting back to...
So the soul's journey of having children or not.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to. And then you're like, no, I'm supposed to, I really want to. And then there's that loss and that your choice is taken away. And then you sit there, and this is what's really happens when you over-identify with the ego, because the main thing that happens is the self-talk. Your soul didn't care whether or not, but you consciously were sitting there talking, and you brought up stories.
And his
proof.
Dream, and then after I went through this journey of the tubal pregnancy and actually getting real with the idea of not having kids, and we sat down and had a conversation, and I told him, I said, this is what's going on. I said, do you want me to hide what's going on, or do you want me to be real? And he said, well, I don't want you to hide anything. And I said, I don't feel like having children, being a mother. And he says, well, you always say that. And I'm thinking to myself, then it might just be true.
We called you a liar and said, first of all, you didn't say that at all. And then he's contradicted by saying you say that all the time.
Exactly.